Hey guys, I'm Petra Monaco from the Rebels Den, and with me I have today Sarah from Sarah Shines Art. Hi,
Hi.
and we're gonna talk about her work. So go ahead and tell about who you are, what you do specifically, and maybe how you got started.
I've been creative for as long as I can remember, and I moved around a lot as a kid. So trying to be creative and learn different things. I didn't really get any focus until about middle school, and it was a very trying time. Art pretty much saved me, and by saving me, I mean I'm pretty sure depression would have taken over. I might have gone down a different path in life and chosen different things. I met a wonderful teacher at a local middle school. Her name was Patty, and she basically taught a curriculum of a little bit of everything. And I was just mind blown that I can make all these things at school, and then that I could make all these things. Um, it was just crazy, like drawing, painting, muraling, um, sculpting, and then pottery wheel. So it was a very rich environment to learn to be creative. And I figured out pretty quick that I love to draw. Um, and then muraling was fun. Like my brain has this magical tool that I can take small things and make them big, usually without a grid, which she taught to use a grid. And I was like,
Oof.
I can just do it, save some steps. That's pretty crazy because most people can't even figure out how to draw a stick figure, which is what I get told a lot. I can't draw. And
I
so
can
then,
wood burn, but I can't draw, so that always throws people off. And I'm like, it's just a thing.
I think it's just training the brain, like, learning how to ride your bike, how to make coffee. To me, art is just another tool to do something. And that's been where taking the fear away of they see the finished thing, but I'm like, it didn't just magically get done. It had to come in steps and parts and pieces.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty crazy thing. My freshman year in high school, um, I met another teacher that taught very similar program as my middle school teacher, and I was just like ecstatic. I was like, okay, now I can really dig in, figure out what I really like, and kind of narrow down my field, see what I'm really good at. And sadly, I was like, everything's cool, but still kind of favoring the art, painting, and whatnot. And um, I didn't know that my life would change with dreams of going to art college, that I would never go to art college. I met a nice young boy, and we hit it off well, and I moved out at a ridiculously young age because of life changes in my family. And art kind of got put to the side because when I wasn't going to class, I was working any way, shape, or form I could make money. Because
Yeah.
when you're young, trying to make a living, pay the bills, run a household, in a relationship, it was just like not there. Um, Became a mom, two kids, full time, raised them for on my own for most of the time because my husband worked out of town, and that art was there. It was my solace when I was lonely. It was when I was going crazy and I couldn't handle one more day of being stuck at home. And it was my outlet. I could go to the kids' school and do projects, and um, started running some holiday shows where I was running the booths and I would make my own stuff. So there was like this crazy organized chick trying to get out that wants to be creative and in charge. Um, but just figuring it out as I went. I've just always been that way.
Yeah.
So make mistakes, um, learn lots
I
of new
think
tricks.
that's pretty normal when you're venturing out into figuring out how to make it all work is you make
Yeah,
mistakes along the way because that's how you learn and that's how you grow and that's how you adjust to figure out the thing that will work, right?
yeah. And fast forward, I'm like, oh, hey, I want a car that runs. So I get a day job, and I did it for 7 years. And at the day job, I had an amazing boss and coworkers that were like, why are you here? You're so talented. I'm like, why am I here? Oh,
Yeah.
it's got insurance and it's paying the bills, and it's really scary to stop a day job where you're being accountable and being there from 9 to 5, and then you're like in charge. And so took a big leap of faith again, that I could do it. And in July of last year, I walked away from a day job of 7 years, and I was blessed to have a very open boss that let me paint at the store. I actually got to do murals inside of a sporting goods store in Springfield, and they're now where people can't see them and just the employees, but it still happened. People got to see my murals,
Yeah.
um, and that was just like mind blowing. Um, but what can I do? What can't I do?
Yeah.
And why not? And finding those challenges of what's the worst that could happen? I stink. I suck at this. I don't do a good job. And so being gracious with myself and giving myself time to make mistakes and figure out what's going to work and what's not. I think the hardest part is um, focusing on time management
Mm.
and not losing track of time. But again, I do. I just did today.
Clearly.
Like, "Ah," I even set an alarm. And I'm like, why didn't my, oh yeah, I turned it off because I thought it was a dumb alarm. I didn't put a note in there. I've got to tell myself, hey,
Yeah.
Sarah, do this.
But I
So
really love that you meant it does take an incredible amount of faith in yourself and I don't know what else you got to do, praying, chanting, all the things when you decide to become self-employed as an artist. Um, like everybody I've talked to, it's a huge thing you've got to work on internally, and then holy crap, you hope somebody else believes in you just as much as you believe in yourself. But then there's those ups and downs that happen
yeah,
because life.
yeah. I can say since July, there's been a few times where I'm just like, oh,
Hmm.
am I going to be busy enough? Am I going to have enough things to keep money coming in so that I can show my husband that there's a value for me doing this full time? And when I did my taxes, I I knew what I made, but then what did it cost me? And I've been claiming self-employed artist on top of the other job, the day job, for about 4 or 5 years. And so I knew that limit of at a loss was over. I had to be making money. So I really knuckled down last year, kept every receipt, kept track of every dollar and penny I made. Um, and again, TurboTax saved the day. I just went through it step by step, and I get audited, I get audited. I'm not going to. So what do I need to do to be productive? Hello, get a planner, a hard copy, a calendar online. How do I make a calendar online? All those little
Mhm.
things I had to figure out. I knew just enough internet web stuff to keep me out of trouble. But then how do I make my time management better? 1 day a week that I'm really on the internet. And that was yesterday. My hiney was numb, sitting for 6 hours straight, just typing.
And
Um,
that's the thing that I think a
it's
lot of
hard.
people don't understand. They see the talent, they appreciate the art, and they go ooh and ah about it, but they don't really understand the work that goes into it on behind the
Yeah.
scenes that we have to put
Yes.
um, in order to make it feasible, in order to make the income, in order to be seen, and all the things. Like there's so much work behind the scenes that people just don't understand. They think it's just like it's so
Absolutely.
easy, and they're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna buy it. That's great. I want you to buy it." But you understand, in order for you to see my stuff, I have to do things.
Yeah. Well, and at first when I left, everyone's like, "Well, what's retirement like?" And I'm like, "I'm 44. I'm not retired. I'm working harder than I did before."
Yes.
Hello. And there's days that I'm down. I actually just I'm kind of private but not private. It's like this weird yin yang thing of
Yep.
I don't want to overshare, but at the same time I feel like people want to know you and get to know you and
Yep.
be a part of
Absolutely.
you, that connection. So I put myself out there today. My Instagram was what I was actually working on while waiting for paint to dry, and introducing to my Instagram people who I am and what I'm about. And it's not hard to talk about myself, but at the same time, I know I overshare and I feel like, am I just blah, blah, blahing or
Well, I
it's
think
a
because
fine line?
I'm very similar. I don't very share much at all about my struggles and my journey because I share the after, right? Like the
Yeah.
after. I don't ever show when I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah.
'Cause that's hard for me. I don't like being that vulnerable in the
Yes. It's
moment, right?
vulnerability. And I think part
You're
of
right.
it is,
People want to know you, but I think the more we connect like that, the more they connect to us and the more they connect to your art. Which I
authenticity.
just love how you're taking on this whole conversation. Like I'm looking at my questions going, well, she's nailing that one and she's nailing that one. It's fantastic. I don't even have to say anything. Like, you could
That's
just be
awesome.
talking and I'd be just sitting here have look at you.
Well, and I think a big part of that was the way I was raised. I live in a fairly small town. It's in Oregon. But I lived in Lane County, which is it stretches from the Willamette Valley to the Oregon coast. And I lived and moved 22 places in Oregon from the time I was 4 until I was 15.
Woo!
It was mind blowing when I sat down as a young adult going, why did we move so much?
Yeah,
Dysfunction.
yeah.
But being that new kid, I was constantly having to be put out of my comfort zone, put out of being shy because I know I was shy. I hardly ever talked when I was little.
Yeah.
But then when I got to that elementary, middle, high school age where you either fit in or you didn't, and so it was this weird. I had a little niche with everybody, and the jobs that I took on to put myself out there. My first job was pumping gas because here in Oregon you have to pump your own gas, or you pump other people's. And so to me, it was a great job. I was outside engaging. Um,
Mhm.
I'm definitely a people person. I'm not scared of talking, but that connection with the customer or I keep seeing all these different classes that I've taken, business classes of finding niche or people, and I'm like, I'm friends with so many people. I have no idea who my niche is. I
Yeah,
feel
I
like
get that.
a creative that if somebody wants me to paint a dog one day and somebody wants me to paint a car the next day, I'm such a diverse creative that I don't lock myself into that one box.
I
I
love
don't.
that, and that's why you fit into this conversation on the Rebels Den.
Awesome, awesome.
I'm a multi-passionate, I wood burn and I paint and I crochet and I make jewelry. So because I don't, very similar. Like I create what I feel called to create. And
Yeah,
sure, some people find their niche as far as they're musicians and that's all they do. And that's
right.
great, right? Like, woo, go for it for that. But there's some of us like you and me who are pretty diverse in interest and creativity. And we absolutely have to do all of it.
And be busy. I have down days where I'm just loafing on the couch, binge watching TV, but those are my down days to restore my
Yeah.
brain and my wanting to make. Um, Having worked, I feel like the 7 years that I worked hard, 40 hours a week, just doing anything and everything to please the boss, please my team, please my coworkers, that load, I would come home and I just vegged. I'd
Yeah.
make art, squeeze in something, but I felt like I was just coasting. And I look back and I'm like, I graduated 2 children. I, moved one out on her own. I just had my 25th wedding anniversary. I'm like, where the heck did 8 years go?
Yeah.
So it just felt like I didn't think it was a waste because the job that I took allowed me to grow in my skill set as far as how to be a marketing person because I had to learn how to do Facebook
Yeah.
marketing in my position at my job, space planning, how to build my booth when I do shows,
Yeah.
how to market my product, the ShamWow it all. I love ShamWow. ShamWow is what makes my thing the it thing. It may not be the it thing for everybody, but when that person walks by and it catches their attention, I know I can connect with them
Yeah.
and that connection is this thing. It's not the art, it's the connection, that feeling that I'm.
Absolutely. I love that. So you've touched on a few things, maybe a little bit of depression and some down days, which can sometimes be challenging to come out of. So
Yes.
how do you, vegging, I'm all a fan to just lay on the couch, but but there comes a point where you have to pull yourself out of it before going further down the spiral. How do you maneuver that?
Knowing that I've battled it off and on since my teenage years, it's both sides of my family. Severely on my mom's side, there's some severe depression and mental illness. But knowing I have the tools at my fingertips, and this is the best thing I think I can share with anybody. If you are in that dark hole and you're struggling, getting something to have an outlet, whether it be writing, drawing, sketching, computer, writing songs, just different things that give you an outlet so that you have something to look forward to is a big part of it. It's that light. If the chemical balance is so deep that nothing you're doing
Yeah.
is working, then go get help and find somebody to help.
Yeah.
and not be ashamed of it, because a chemical imbalance, we can't fix ourselves. It's just not, it's never going to be able to be fixed. Growing up the way I did, not realizing that dysfunction was depression and the inability to cope.
Mm.
um, my mom made my life, and my siblings, there was four of us and then five of us towards the end before I moved out. um, she made it normal. Like, we were homeless for a summer and we were camping the whole entire summer, but we had a place to eat. We always had clean laundry. We were well fed and
Yeah.
bathed. We weren't lacking anything. We just didn't have a roof over our head per se, a foundation. And so, going through the things that we did, um, I absolutely know that my mom did everything she knew that she had in her power to make things as normal as possible, because she grew up with severe dysfunction and
Mhm.
illness in her
Does
family.
tend to be generational, right?
Yeah, well, and we just didn't know then what things were. And so for me as an artist, I'm not formally trained. I've never gone to college. I haven't had any skill set. I've just life experience and seeing where people have struggled. I can spot crazy from a mile away.
Oh
um,
boy.
it, it's not so much a bad thing, because creativity sometimes comes from that craziness, that need
Yeah.
to create.
So
But at the same time, when you spin out and you lose control and you lose your grounding, what do you do? And um, you know talking and sharing and connecting, creating, all those things are healing aspects. And then again, there's a time where you have to step out of that
yeah,
safe box and say, I need help.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
knowing that you do a hodgepodge of things, where do you find your inspiration? Um, or what's your favorite piece you've ever created? I don't know. Just where do you find like your ideas with that? Like sometimes I struggle going, oh, this piece of wood is great, but I don't know what to do, and I have to put it aside. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what I'll do. How do you find yours?
I grew up again in the Northwest. I was originally born in Florida. My parents moved us out here when I was 4, and my parents have always been outdoor nature enthusiasts. We're not hippy dippies, but at the same time, I know how to camp like nobody's business. So I love to camp. And then I married this outdoorsy guy. That guy I moved out with at 15. There's no off season, so we hunt, fish, camp.
Mm,
And I stink at fishing. I know I stink, so I bring a book or my easel, and he knows that I'm fine just sitting there on wherever we're at and just chilling. Which I got to go paint watercolor and acrylics on the beach a couple weeks ago while they were perch fishing. And literally, we were getting on a quad, casting 4 or 5 times, 30 minutes. I'd get a chance to quick sketch, and then we'd be back on the quad again, going up and down the beach. Crazy. It was a blast. I've never done this. And it was very inspirational. I love the ocean, just the sound, the smell, the feel. Um, Going camping, we bow hunt for 11 days, and I take my studio with me. I've learned how to edit what I need to take, because there's only so much weight you can have in the trailer. But we go for 6 hours away from here. It's approximately 300 miles away, and we go for 11 days. And I literally will paint the entire time or create something the entire time, and as well as bow hunt when I don't care if I do, but it's nice when I do. But that creative outlet, volunteering, um, absolutely going for walks, or you know Instagram, Pinterest, wherever it is that you find inspiration. As a creative, I'm definitely a an earthy, outdoor, naturey kind of girl. um, and so, getting that happy balance of not being cooped up inside, go get outside. I can now go outside and go do whatever I want. I keep telling myself, why are you in the house all day? Get out of the house and go play. So, I made myself get out there and meet somebody for lunch the other day over at our local university, and the campus was just stunning. We've got like 75-degree days. Everything's
nice.
green and blossoming, and you're just like, oh, I just want to go sit here and draw.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So I know part of your thing is to be mobile. Tell a little bit more about that. That was the thing where I was like, mobile, what?
So that whole entire life story of being mobile, moving, living in the same house for 19 years. I didn't live with my parents for 19 years.
Yes.
So being in the home for 19 years, I go stir crazy and I have to move things. I have to change things. Well, you can only do so much in 19 years. Like, it's done. It's set. So when I took a class at a wine and paint place. I'm not a wine drinker, but I'm like, hey, this is cool. You can come and paint in 2 to 3 hours, depending on the level of hardness of the painting. Um, and I was like, I'd love to do this on the fly. You know, the whole sisters
Yes.
on the fly, the trailers, the camping, the vintage thing. Um, it just talks to me, the whole gypsy part of it, and
Yeah.
being on the. So my challenge was, hey, there's times where people can't come to this location because A, it's too far or they got too much going on. Why can't I bring it to them? So what is that going to take? How many people can I do or handle? I actually worked part-time while I was still working the full-time job at this art studio to do the paint, wine and paint, and learn the tricks of the trade. I'm like a sponge. I constantly am wanting to learn new things. And so I took away what I loved about the process,
Yeah.
took away what I didn't like about the process, and what could I do better. And I thought, okay, so A, I'm constantly making new art to do samples. B, I'm on the move. I come to them. I can be at their house, the church. Some of the neatest things I've been able to do is the church groups. Um, them doing a painting in a big group setting. They're building fellowship for their church. They put a scripture with the painting. There's a whole theme to the process. They're getting that connection to spend time with each other. It's usually just women. And so for me, that's like a trifecta
Like
of
a
amazing.
gold mine right there.
Yeah. Yeah. So if it's up to 40 people that I can handle, I comfortably can do 40. I'll usually have an assistant. It's usually my daughter. And then if it's, 5 people, it's just as fun. It's intimate. We can be
Yeah.
silly. I find the older ladies are the most crazy.
Oh, I love
I'm
them. I
like,
love them.
oh my God, I'm like, there's no filter.
Yeah. Yeah. They're I teach workshops on a different level to seniors, and they're my favorite almost to
Oh,
teach and facilitate because yeah, there is no filter. It's all straightforward.
yeah. Yes, I love it. I look forward to it. And then that connection of a little bit of art therapy. I've had where I've been at a show and I'm painting live and I have my 10 by 10 booth set up and they're like, well, how do you do this or how do you do that? And I was like, well, do you want to do a painting party, whether it's you and a couple other people? And I'll walk them through the basic parts because if someone's never held a paintbrush, and I'm like, I'm not joking. So that process, it's kind of my little nugget of when I got back from bow hunting last year in September, I had put money down on a 6 by 10 cargo trailer. I have a little SUV that can tow it. And I went from having to shove everything and anything in my little SUV, whether it be for a show. I'm
That's
still like,
fantastic. Um, no, really, I'm like, oh, you're in Oregon. That's so far away.
and where are you at?
I'm in Virginia, so like I'm a
Okay,
literally on the other side of you.
yeah, yeah. No, totally.
But I truly, truly love that because I think when I'm not having against centers or places to go to teach and learn or anything like that, but it can be limiting, especially in rural communities. I am attached to a rural community, and it's so hard for them to for people to get out, whether it be like a car or anything. And you being able to bring that to them
Yeah,
is fantastic.
yeah.
So everybody, she's in Oregon. Um, but that may not stop her from traveling. So with that
No,
being
I've actually offered a couple times because I'm so central in the Willamette Valley. I'm basically an hour away from the desert, the ocean, the mountains. Um, and so inside
oh,
of an hour, if somebody wanted to hire me to come, I'm totally open. I charge a fee for my time and,
of
a
course.
little per person for that extra. But why not? If someone doesn't have that option in their area and there is nobody, I'd be willing to share that experience with them. And
Yeah.
it makes it special for them because heck yeah, why not? This is super cool. I
Yeah.
get to have the teacher come to us.
It was
So
definitely the thing that drew me, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk to you because this is good. Um, so where can people connect with you on the interwebs?
so I just built a website. It's fairly simple. It's just a little more informative than anything. And that's sarah-shines-art.com. I'm also on Facebook. My business page is Sarah Shines Art, as well as Instagram, the same uh, business name, Sarah Shines Art. And that's Sarah with an H. And
That's
They're
important.
not they're not ill, as Jimmy Fallon says. Um, and so that connection, I'm still learning. I think everybody's in this learning curve. I've been trying to reach out and build a community here in my town. I'm real close to Eugene, which is like spitting distance from us. So that little hub of Eugene, Springfield, and the surrounding areas, as a whole, you know, I can come to you, or if I'm doing a show where I can go all the way down to Roseburg, which is south of us, or I can go to Sublimity. I'm actually going to be doing a show up there, and that's about an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, to do a show where I can sell my art and jewelry, and um, that happy medium of making income to be sustainable. I don't know what's the potential. I'm just in the baby steps basically, but I've been doing this seriously and focused as much as I could for like the last 6 years, and then doing the shows. It's a hit or miss. It's like
Yeah.
having your shop. You may or may not have sales that day. You may or may not kill it.
Oh,
Um,
I remember. I don't actually sell at festivals anymore,
yeah,
but
it's
I
hard
remember
for
the days, the
yes.
setup and the breakdown, and then maybe if you had a good day and you celebrated, and then if you didn't have a good day, you're like, oh my God, this was the worst thing ever.
Yeah. And
But then
and
you
that
show up again and again and again, and that's whether you sell at festivals or online or wherever. However, that's the thing I think, like for me too, is the showing up part.
yeah,
You have got to keep showing up.
yeah,
Even when your day or your week feels like, oh God, you still gotta show up, no matter what.
yeah. And I learned that as a young person.
Yeah.
um, it sounds corny and cheesy, but the young
That's
man
all
that
right.
lives
We like corny and cheesy around here.
yes, at 15, I figured out, from my art teacher, Mr. McNeely at Willamette High. He's since passed from cancer, but he was like, Uncle Sarah, you got to get your ass to class. And I'm like, you're right. I can't not show up. I'm not going to learn. I'm not going to grow. I'm not going to get better at doing what I love. And I seriously did not care about sports. I didn't care about choir. I didn't do anything else in high school but art. It was so intense. By the time I got to my senior year, I put myself through high school from my sophomore year on, um, and was able to graduate on time. The diversity of just how to figure out how to go to school,
Mhm.
I had to get my butt to school, and I
Yeah.
couldn't call out sick or skip class because I was in charge. And graduating, showing up, um, not skipping class, that precursor to my life choices is where I am with my husband now. Um, 30 years collective we've been together, and um, 2010 he started being sick, and we weren't sure what the symptoms were. It was kind of scary. We thought, maybe he had a broken back or something weird in his back, and it turned out to be multiple sclerosis. And this is a guy that has never been sick in his life,
Yeah.
never missed work, and all of a sudden stuff's just not working. And since that diagnosis, he's still relapsing, remitting, but showing up, being there no matter what, handling the scary crap, whether it be a cancer diagnosis or
Yeah.
something in that matter, creating as an outlet.
Yeah.
It's my saving grace. And his passion is outdoors, hunting, fishing, shooting his bow, whatever. And I've embraced that. It's what he lives for. He doesn't do anything else but go to work, come home, and do it again the
Yeah.
next day
We
until it's time.
all need an outlet, no
Yeah,
matter what our passion, our calling, purpose, whatever the heck words you want to put in there. We all have to have that particular an outlet that will keep us. You said it earlier, grounded, right? It's really
yeah.
about keeping yourself grounded, and trying to be in the moment as you can, rather than living in the past or worrying about the future. Because the past doesn't really matter anymore. In the future, we don't know what
We
happens
don't
in the next
control it.
second. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so
What I do
being able
today
to
may or
ground
may not
yourself,
change tomorrow. Yeah.
yeah, being in that moment is super important. Um, but wow, like, I could probably talk to you probably for another couple of hours. And we've just met, y'all. We just
Yeah.
met, and I'm like, oh, I want to talk to her all day, but I have
Oh,
plans.
absolutely. Absolutely. Keep in touch. I was tickled that, different groups that I'm trying to reach out to. I think that's the other hard part is finding your community.
Yeah.
That was actually one of my very first goals as a business owner of my art business, is have a community, have a tribe, a group of people that you can talk to and be completely out of the norm. Like, you're not my next door neighbor, you're somewhere on the other side of the
Hmm.
continent. I have a girlfriend that I met through a mom's group when the internet was first like created, and the only thing we have in common was we were moms, we were home full time,
Yeah.
and we had no outlet. And that connection is so deep. And having that, yeah, I can be
Yeah.
introspective and introvert and not go anywhere and do anything. I'm happy, but I still need that connection sometimes to just get out.
It's a human thing. Like, well, we're social
Yes.
creatures. We need that. Whether I'm a huge introvert, I'd rather not go anywhere. Except today, I'm going to a concert, and those things light me up like firecrackers. That's where my people are, right? Like they're at the concerts and the camping festivals type things.
Yep.
So that's where my community hangs out. But it's so important, whether you're in business for yourself or not, to have that support in that community, and that you'll have an outlet to help you cope with the difficult challenges you may be going through, that you are going through, whatever that is.
life
Well,
life happens.
it does happen, and you can either make the best of it, the worst of it, and the choice is always going to be yours, right?
I am the creator. It's actually my business model, creator of my own sunshine.
Oh, I love that.
My I was born in 74, and my mom was going to name me Sunshine Bloom, bloom as in like a flower. And my dad's mom said, over my dead body, no. And so I'm like, who would I be today if my mom had stuck to her guns and said, Sunshine is going to be her name? Instead, she went biblical. And so she went with
Yeah.
Sarah. And then growing up, it was always, hey, Sunshine, what's up? That kind of thing, where it was my nickname. And when I came up with, what do I do for a business name? And
Yeah.
it just magically happens, Sarah Shines. And it's that combination of the two. And it truly is. I try to be as positive as possible, and don't be scared and take the challenge. Yeah, you're going to have bad days and you're going to hit the dirt with your face, but know that you pick yourself back up and just keep trying, keep showing up, and you're going to get through it one day at a time. And just know you're going to be okay.
I love that. Those are some beautiful words at the end of our conversation. Thank you so much, Sarah, for jumping on and having this conversation with me. And y'all better check out her work. And if you're in the West Coast or on the West Coast, get yourself some art classes.
All right, take care. Thank you.